Even though the ancient Mayans lived in a place that was mainly swampy, they still managed to grow crops. Their main crops were corn, squash, and beans. Corn was one of the most important crops because it was the most nutritious. They prepared it in a few different ways that extracted the most nutrients from the corn. They often dipped the kernels in lime and water to expose amino acids found in the corn. Corn tortillas were then made. Beans were also a major crop that they grew. Beans were one of the main sources of protein that the ancient Mayans had. Sometimes they were mashed and put into a tortilla to make a burrito. Squash was also very important to them. The seeds were dried or roasted and eaten, and of course the squash was eaten. Turkey was one of the most common meats eaten by the Mayans. They rarely ate any meat besides turkey. Since the ancient Mayans lived where they lived, in a swampy area, there wasn't a lot of fertile soil and places to grow crops, so they had to build canals to get the water from the swamps to the crops. The food production system that they had was not sustainable because there was not a lot of fertile land to plant more crops when the population increased. The major population increase caused the demand of food to increase, which then caused the ancient Mayan food production system to be too small to support any sort of population growth. In Arizona, cattle and sheep are two main livestock commodities. Since Arizona is a desert, the use of canals and dams is a requirement. Because of this, Arizona has one of the most efficient irrigation systems in the world. Cotton, hay, and lettuce are the main crops grown in Arizona. Yuma, Arizona is the winter lettuce capital of the world. Arizona grows enough cotton each year to make more than one pair of jeans for every person in the United States. There are about 7,500 farms throughout Arizona, many of which raise cattle for beef. Arizona farms also produce a lot of citrus fruits, including lemons, tangerines, oranges, and grapefruits. Arizona used farming as a system to produce food because it is widely accepted system of producing food in the United States. This food production system is not sustainable because it requires a lot of human interaction for the management of the canals to provide water. One similarity between ancient Mayans and present-day Arizona is that they both needed canals to get water for their crops. One difference is that the ancient Mayans lived in a swampy area, whereas Arizona right now is a desert.
On November 25th, here at Bioscience, we went to the plant bed, which is at the front of the school, and there's like these plants that are just sitting there that were really there for no purpose. So what we had done was we unplanted them, or we took them out, and we put new plants in there.
You want to like get it where you don't want to hit the root, because like the root is like the best part, so you want to like go around it.
The process of removing plants. This plant is called a yucca plant. 3 or 4 of these plants were removed from the area.
Perennial plants and herbs. The perennial plants were a really great idea because they're going to be able to sustain themselves during the whole year, because that's what perennial means, to be able to last the whole year. So those are going to be great for like winter and summer because there's really going to be no issue or no concern of them dying out during these weird harsh weathers, and that's what we did. And we also made like these little like benches or whatever for the plants, and they were about like 5-6 inches deep, and then we did the holes for the plants and we planted them.
These are the plants we planted on December 2nd. We planted herbs and perennial plants in between each other so that when the herbs died, the perennial plants will still come back every year and make the area look nice. This is the end result of the plants that we planted. Like I said earlier, it's the dome-like shape where it is deeper in the middle and around the edges it gets really high so that the water stays in between so that the plants get water. When working with the food production system at the bioscience garden, there were a few problems that I noticed that were being put into action. Okay, one problem that I noticed when we were working in the garden at bioscience was the amount of water that the plants were getting watered. Like there was multiple spouts, but they weren't watered often enough. So so the plants wouldn't get enough water. And the other thing that I noticed was that it's easier for animals to get into the little area, so they might be able to eat the plant.